My name is Muhammad Lutfi. You can call me Lutfi. I'm a research geology specialist at Harita Nickel. Harita Nickel is the one of nickel mining and processing company in Indonesia, located at the Obi Island in the North Maluku, eastern of Indonesia. Our activity conducting exploration, mining extraction, and nickel processing. And actually, I'm honored to be the one of the speaker at GeoviaCon X25X for this session day 3 that we explore with the practical topic in this in this day 3. And actually in Indonesia, as I know, the Geovia Surpak is the one of the software that common to use by the geologists and research geologists to do the geological modeling, geostatistic, and resource estimation, especially to the nickel laterite community. And GeoPS Surpak also help us when we do the research estimation and geological modeling in our company. And for this session, we will talk about the two topics here. The first is the KNA, or Key Neighborhood Analysis, the one of the methodology that we define our estimation parameter as our estimation strategy. And the second topic that we will talk about in this session is the dynamic anisotropy. The dynamic anisotropy is the one of the method to improve estimation in geological complex setting. And in this session, we will know how to perform the dynamic anisotropy and KNA in our project in GeoPS Surpak. Both this methodology, KNA and dynamic anisotropy, are essential tool that ensuring the robust and geological accuracy and resource model. Whether you're working in the exploration, mine planning, or resource evaluation, the understanding this concept will make your significant difference in your model outcome. So I hope in this session you will find the content valuable and applicable in your project. And the first topic we will talk about is about the dynamic anisotropy. So before I explain the dynamic anisotropy, I will say why dynamic anisotropy is needed for resource estimation. So when we do the grade estimation, become more challenging when we deal in undulation or folding geological structure. In this case, it's common many mineral or complex ore deposit. I think it's not just mineral. There's a coal commodity or petroleum, etc. So we'll got the bias when we just apply the global searching direction for resource estimation. Because of that, the dynamic anisotropy comes. As I know, there's a lot of the methodology when we do the resource estimation on undulation and folding, something like unfolding or flattening, but the one of the methodology, as we know, is dynamic anisotropy. So dynamic anisotropy is the interpolation and estimation methodology which takes into the consideration the local variation to the domain orientation into the block estimation. The dynamic anisotropy that consider the local variation and orientation on the geology during the estimation. Instead, we applying the global searching direction. This method to adapt to orientation when the searching ellipsoid based on the geological trend, capturing the true dip or the deep direction or the trend as we know of the ore body or mineralization. So this approach allow us to the searching ellipsoid and variogram model to rotate dynamically following the local structure. And I will show to you the imagery when we are applying the dynamic anisotropy and without the applying dynamic anisotropy. Here we have the two image, and on the top is the without dynamic anisotropy, and the below is with dynamic anisotropy. So here you can see when we do the estimation with the align and fixed orientation, which is use the global trend of the orientation of our solid model, and it will don't follow the geological actually the folding curve. So as the result, the block estimation will doesn't properly follow the natural structure, and this often produce the bias grade estimation and geometric inaccuracy in our block model. Because of that, in the bottom image, we already applying the dynamic anisotropy. So this allow the align the deep direction of our resource model here when we do the dynamic anisotropy. So the ellipsoid will be aligned to the deep direction and deep also of our geological structure and ore body. So as the result is much more realistic and geological consistent grade estimation, and we will make a test for estimation parameter after in this case here. So I have some video to you to show dynamic anisotropy when we do the resource estimation here. Here I have the solid ore. Actually, this is the saprolite ore of our model, one of our deposit, and we make a solid model with the constraint Delaunay triangulation. And when we do the slice here from the north to south, here when we do the slicing, there's the undulation in our body. So when we do the global searching radius, here I have the example for the ellipsoid. Here when we do without the dynamic isotropy, our ellipsoid will applying for to the air is not applicable and not follow the local structure and to do the research estimation, and we will got the bias when we do this case just to follow the global trend radius. And I have the another example when we do the dynamic isotropy to follow the search the local orientation here, and there is a steep area, the searching radius and the ellipsoid will follow the ore body here, and the flat area the ellipsoid will be flat, and the undulation and the ellipsoid will be follow the curving area of the undulation and our body. So it will not got the bias such as we without the dynamic structure methodology in our cases in for research estimation. And the next is the how to perform the dynamic setup in SURPAC. There's a four way when we want to do the dynamic setup in SURPAC. The first is we create the trend line and trend surface. The second one is we create the trend outline and create creation to the trend outline. The third is the add the block model dynamic strategy and add the attribute. And the last is the applying the dynamic strategy during the estimation. So the trend line is the identify the capture the variation and deep direction or the trend of domination of the solid. So the trend line is the line is capturing the trend of our body here. So the trend surface will be created after the solid model develop. So after we create the solid model in our model, like for this case is using the constant Delaunay triangulation. Here the trend line is the line that connecting the center of our model here, and there's two way to create this trend line and trend surface by digitization section by manually, and the second part is the identify and extract automatically by interpolating in the middle of the plane of the solid. Here I will show you how to create this trend line. So here I have this solid model is come from the drill hole of the nickel laterite here, and there's all of my drill hole is 95 degree above to the surface, all of my drill hole. So yeah, it's like this, and the drill spacing is 25 by 25, but not the grid all of our area here, but yeah, here I have the solid to interpolating all of my solids here. So the red line is actually the red DTM is actually the saprolite ore, and when we do the section here, there's all of our drill hole is continue here in based on our drill hole. So after we create our solid here, we will create the trend line. How to do this is you make a section first. Here we will create in the middle of our body here, we will create the trend line to just to interpret and the trend of the reference of our solid model. Here the first you will create the trend line here, the trend line string. I will call the trend line OR. After that, we do the section here, section by section, and do the manual digitizing one by one in the middle of our solid model. So yeah, I will create the tip by manual. Actually, when we do the sectional manually one by one here, we just depend on our grading. Here, my drill hole is grid by 25 by 25. So you can see I will create the 25 by 25 trend line surface on the middle of our solid. And here after that, I just right click, and here the trend line is in the middle of the solid. So after that, I will create another trend line here, and there's a three trend line at the end. But this is just example, and after that I will create the DTM for the create DTM surface to do the trend surface of this or solid ore here. So this is just example for when we do the digitasi manually one by three trend line of the uh, trend surface for this case here. So at the end, the trend surface will be represent of the middle of the solid, but this is not very good because I create the trend line from the 50 by 50. Instead, the drill hole is 25 by 25. But yeah, this is just one example to the we can make the trend surface one by one by creation digitizing the trend surface manually. So the second one I will share is to do the extract automatically by extracting the middle all of my domain here is the domain the solid or but just go to the database and to do the extract here extract and click zone and thickness depth here and just click in the extract the string that you will create. I will create the midpoint of the ore here, and we do the same report name here, and just make sure your required coordinate position is the middle in the middle because we will extract in the at the middle of my domain zone here. So after that, the table layer is the geology based on your database also. This is my geology, and the table is the geology, and the field is layer, and the specification is sub because it is my subprolit or domain. And after that, they will produce the string that extract from the middle of my solid here. So this is all of the string is in the middle of my domain. This is automatically, but in this case, all of my drill hole have contain the domain of the subrolit because in sometime there is no subrolit in my drill hole, and after that you will modify one by one because the subrolit point it will be comes to the top of the drill hole. But this is just for example, so I will slice here. So this is my trend line. So it will be capture the deep direction of my solid here because this is just represent and my trend line is in the middle of my solid ore. So after that, we create the string, and after the trend line, and we create the trend surface here. The trend surface will be created by interpolating using triangulation here, just triangulation Delaunay constraint Delaunay. So this trend surface it will be in the middle of my ore here, the blue one. So when I slice here is the trend surface will be represent of my solid model in the middle. So after we create the trend line and trend surface for our solid model, here we will create the trend outline creation. We will create the trend outline. So the trend outline is actually the string that contain the information of the of my orientation, such as the deep and deep direction. The direction is like trend in the geological term. So how to do deep? How to extract my trend outline from the trend surface here? I will just put the trend surface and go to the surface here, to surface tools, and after that DTM file function, and click the trend, create trend outline and DTM triangle. After that I will open my trend surface DTM and define the creation is just put your string trend outline. After this it will be create the string file to from the DTM surface of the my solid ore, and this string it will be contain the information of my orientation. Here the description one is the deep and the description two is the deep direction. Here the minus, when we click when we have the information of the flat area, the deep is more lower than the steep area. Here the flat area it will be 4%, and in the in the steep area I will show you here, it will be the deep value will be bigger than the flat area, that it minus 26 something like that. And this string it will be the parameter of our dynamic isotropy attribute. After this I will show you how to add the block model attribute. Block model, the dynamic isotropy attribute and our block model. Here, after we create the trend outline, I have the block model here, the proto model, and this block model is using SMU is 12.5 by 25 by 1 here, and I already create the constraint inside my solid ore. So they have the proportion. After that I already create the attribute of my deep and deep direction here with the type of float using float, and the description is just your description is the deep and deep direction of our local orientation. So how to add the attribute? So the idea is to add my attribute the deep and deep direction using the nearest neighborhood estimation. Here you create the nearest neighbor, and the string file is my trend outline surface of our string here, and the string line is 1. And after that, for the attribute that we want to fill is my deep is in the description 1 here, because in my string is deep in is the description 1, and deep direction or our trend is on the description field number 2. After that I put my searching radius for my nearest neighbor estimation just 50 by 50 meter on the horizontal and 20 meter on the vertical, depend on your thickness of your solid, of course. And after that the repcode file here, and I click and just apply, and has been done for your nearest neighbor estimation, and you already done to put your dynamic isotropy attribute in your block model. After that I will show you the block color. When we put the deep here, there's from 0 to 90 to 45 I think, and the biggest, and the deep direction is from 0 to 30 to 360. As we know, the direction here is the red one is the lowest value of the deep here, and when we go to the steep area, the color of the block model will comes to blue, because our deep and deep direction value from our string already put to our block model attribute here. So when I check this one in the steep area, the deep is more than 30, because that one is the area of the steep. But when we do the click attribute here, and the flat area is the dip is will be flat. And after that, I will show you for the dip direction here. There's a two hill. I mean, in my two hill direction in my solid model, there's big differences of the my color block model here in the north and to the south here, because the orientation of my solid is different, the trend line of my solid. So after we add the block model dynamic attribute block model from my block model, we will do the estimation using the dynamic entropy here. So how to do the dynamic entropy using my dynamic entropy attribute to this estimation method. So I will show you how the dynamic entropy will change from the estimation parameters such as Kriging variance, Kriging efficiency, and Kriging bias slope here. I will do the estimation here using the organic Kriging, and I already have the variogram model before. This is for attribute nickel here, and I will put the Kriging variance and Kriging efficiency attribute because we will know how the dynamic entropy will change the Kriging parameter such as these three Kriging parameter here. And after that, I call the string file of my sample here, the sample of subsolid. And after that, this is without the dynamic entropy. Just put the 0 for the local orientation, and I will call my variogram here. And after that, the report name using ordinary Kriging nickel without the non-DA, that one. After that, did and the constraint in my constraint OR here. After that, click apply, and already done for the estimation without the dynamic anisotropy. After that, I will do the estimation again with using the dynamic anisotropy attribute. Then I just select my nickel for the estimation here, and after that the Kriging variance using DA is different without the DA, the conditional bias slope also. After that, the string file of my sample here, and the difference is this one, the ellipse solid orientation, the bearing is using the dip direction, and the plus is using dip, because the plus in this surpak way is the dip direction, is the dip, and the bearing is the trend or the dip direction. So after this one, the estimation for the each block, it will be follow the orientation of the dip and dip direction, such as I explained before for the orientation of the ellipsoid searching radius. And after that, I will show you the report. This one already I already put the estimation here, the Kriging variance and Kriging efficiency for. I will show you how the differences for estimation without the dynamic entropy and with the dynamic entropy. After that, I will show the histogram of my conditional bias slope, the Kriging parameter such as the Kriging bias slope without dA and with dA, with the dynamic entropy, the Kriging efficiency, and the Kriging variance here, just to show to you. And after this, this one, the Kriging efficiency and the Kriging variance, it will be smoother than without the Kriging variance and Kriging efficiency without the dynamic entropy. So the orientation, it will be smooth. Then we do the estimation without the dynamic entropy. Here I will call the report file for just to know the mean value of our estimation parameter. Here, if you take a look for the conditional bias slope, it will be bigger with with the dynamic entropy, so it will be good. And for the efficiency, it will be bigger also. Then we put the dynamic non-dynamic entropy here. Sorry. Yeah, this one. So the Kriging variance, it will be less than without the dynamic entropy for our estimation. So it will be more efficient when we do the dynamic entropy for our estimation, because they will follow the local orientation for our searching parameter. So the big differences when we do the estimation without dynamic entropy and with the dynamic entropy. So what the summary for this dynamic entropy? The first one is the dynamic entropy can improve the estimation by adjusting the searching ellipsoid orientation block by block based on the local geological trend. After during the estimation, the SURPAC can this attribute dynamically rotate the searching ellipsoid and has our accuracy in geological complex setting. And the last one is dynamic entropy, especially useful when we face the folding or dipping on the curve or body where the global entropy assumption the false short. Something like that. And after that, I will talking about the Kriging neighborhood analysis in GeoVia Surpak. So how to perform the KNA in the GeoVia Surpak. So what is the Kriging neighborhood analysis? The Kriging neighborhood analysis is the process to optimizing the estimation parameter to quantify the optimum estimation parameter for the interpolation. So the Kriging neighborhood is the important step for the resource estimation workflow where we evaluate and optimize key parameter for the interpolation. The goal here to define the most appropriate setting that will give us the reliable and unbiased the grade estimation. So the parameter that we focus on this case is the we can do the block size Kriging neighborhood analysis, the number of sample, the searching radius, and the number of decision point. But yeah, all of this one is, I think it must be done one by one. So when we you done for the KNA for the block size, after that you move to the number of sample. After that you fix your number of sample. We do to the searching radius and etc. So the Kriging neighborhood analysis is the also now to the setting up our Kriging plan. So the parameter we test searching will be test for this case is this searching radius actually. And if you want to read furthermore for this KNA, I have the reference here from the Fan and Jackson for the quantitative Kriging and neighborhood analysis. This paper is very good paper for this Kriging neighborhood analysis case. After that, how to quantify our Kriging performance for this analysis? We can look for a lot of the Kriging parameter that we will define, but this is just of uh, three of Kriging parameter that we will take a look for this case. The first is Kriging variance, the second one is Kriging efficiency, and the third one is the conditional by slope or slope of regression that we know, because this parameter when we do the KNA, this parameter we will take a look how this parameter and how to do best our estimation with this parameter. After that, how to perform the KNA in Surpak? The first is I will introduce you how the macro will in Surpak. This is is like the rapid the search of the tools in Surpak. After that, we will set our estimation parameter plan. And the third one is the looping process with macro. And the last step is the identify the graph as the result of the KNA. After that, I will show you how I will introduce you for the macro in the Surpak here. The macro is the one of tools in Surpak that allow to record the automatic and repetitive tasks. It's very full for they can here. If you want to record your task, is just put the red button here in the right, create the macro, your file macro here. This is macro test, and I will test the estimation here, estimation using the organic rigging to by recording by the macro here. So after that, select your attribute. I will I will show the nickel attribute here. I will estimate the nickel attribute, and I will put the kriging variance and kriging efficiency and conical by slope to know the parameter of our estimation here. Just click our attribute. After that, we take a look for the sample of this our sample string here. This is the sample OR, and after that, I will put my searching parameter of my estimation using organic rigging here, and after that just click apply, and I will take the variogram here, my variogram. So it's basically you already setting up your variogram first. So my constraint here using constraint OR inside the proportion of the OR and click apply. And after we do the macro test here, and you end your macro here, just click the recording macro on the top right on your screen here. Already done. Then just end your macro, and it will be produce the TCL file here with the name of the macro test. Just right click and edit to show the our macro file here. This is our macro file here using TCL here, and after that the macro will be record my attribute that nickel grade for this case, and the kriging efficiency and kriging parameter that we define here. Actually, there's a lot of another kriging parameter, and after that the string file that we use to our estimation here, sample OR, and another searching parameter such as the minimum sample, the resolution, the discretization of our estimation, and this is the variogram model that we use for this case. So it will be record the nugget, the seal, the range of our variogram. So when you change this TCL or this macro, when you change here, this is maybe this is for example, the minimum sample you change from 5 to 3, and the maximum sample you change to from 10 to 7. Just save this macro test. It will be change your repetitive task, this task here. So yeah, this basically when we have the repetitive task, the macro will be record our task for this Surpak task here. So that one, the macro is very useful when we do the kriging neighborhood analysis. So after that, we will setting up our estimation parameter here. The KNA test, the KNA analysis that we will test in this case is the searching parameter such as the horizontal and vertical. Here I have another TCL or macro that I already setting up here for the nickel grade with the horizontal and vertical 50 by 3. And this macro is can be create for a lot of tasks. It's not just one task. This is just my TCL is like create the attribute of the block model. After that, this is for the kriging, BM fill OKSD for the kriging, and etc. So it not just depend on one of the our tasks here. So after that, this is my sample, my minimum sample, just same. But for the major distance and the vertical distance is for 50 by 3, because we make a KNA for the searching for parameter for the horizontal 50 and vertical 3, and the rest of our parameter is the same. The variogram is same, minimum sample is same, the discretization is same, and the constraint is same. After that, I will do the basic statistic here to know the mean of our kriging parameter, such as constant by slope, Kriging efficiency, and Kriging variance. So after that, we will call this TCL. How to do this is just drag and drop. This drag and drop to our project here, and it will be create the estimation. And after that, this is for basic statistic here. So it will produce the TCL, the notepad here, to do the report our estimation for 50 and 3. And this is the statistic that we will define our estimation parameter DKNA for the CBS, Kriging efficiency, and Kriging variance. So we will do a lot of the parameter here for 50 and 3, for 75 and 3, for 103, until we have 303 for the major distance and vertical distance on our Kriging estimation here. And that it will be produce a lot of report here for the report of the our uh, our estimation one by one here. So yeah, the main idea of this scan is to do the estimation with the same parameter, just different for the searching distance here. For the major distance is different from the 50 to the 300, and the vertical distance is in this case is just for 3 and 5 here. So when we do the estimation here, when we do the TCL file here, we need a lot of TCL file, so it will be not effective, we think, because this is it will be have a lot of TCL. Maybe the range is 11, but the major distance is 11 parameter, and the vertical distance is 5 parameter. It will be 11 by 5 is 55 TCL. We want to use for this scan step, but this is not too efficient. So I will show you how the macro looping in this KNA process. So here I already create some macro looping here. So instead we have the 22 TCL here for the 11 parameter and 2 parameter for the design. We have just, if we do the macro looping, we just need the 4 TCL here, the 4 macro. Instead we create the TCL here, we setting up our parameter here first. We create the setting major from major distance and vertical distance here for 11 parameter from 50 and 300. After that, the just 1 parameter, and we do the force each. We do the force for each for the major distance using dollar here, and for the add attribute using dollar again here, and for it will be create the BM attribute using the major distance 50 by 3 here. This is how the macro looping will change our workflow here. So instead we have the 11 TCL, we just set. So we can do the 3 parameter for the vertical distance here for the 3, 5, and 7. So it will be create the 11 major distance by 3. It will be create the 33 attribute for our estimation process here. So this is just for add attribute. So yeah, I just create the example for the 11 by 1 from the 50 to 300 by vertical distance 3. After that, I will dock. So the second one is for, yeah, instead the basic macro that we have, we put our parameter macro here. This is just same. This is set status same, but the differences is just setting up our major distance on the top. After that, I will drag and drop my macro for add attribute here. So just to know, this is my summary of my block model here. There's no a lot of attribute, and I will drag and drop, then it will be create the process of my attribute here. Then it will be create the 11 attribute of my kriging parameter, such as conditional by slope, efficiency, and kriging variance. So after that, this is the macro for the estimation for the ordinary kriging. It's same. The nickel ore is we will put the dollar here for the parameter that will be call my setting up of my macro on the top here. And for major distance, you will put the major distance with the dollar symbol here, and the rest it will be same. It will be called the our set parameter on the top. After that, I will drag and drop again my macro for estimation here. It will be making looping for the each the major distance and vertical distance for each parameter that we setting before. Here, just loop until 50 for 303, sorry. And it will be produced also for my estimation report here, and make a looping. And this is the macro for the basic statistic here. It will be same. We setting up our KNA parameter here, and using the BM load for the basic statistic. So it will be produce the statistic of our parameter of my kriging point. But for the statistic, it cannot make it drag and drop such as the another macro, because this is the special statistic, because we will put on the statistic here. There's a play button. Just click play button there in basic statistic tools, and after that call your macro for basic statistic here. So it will be create the and analyze and just export the statistic of our kriging parameter process here. So after that, it will be make a looping for all of my KNA parameters, such as 50 by 3, 75 by 3, until 300 by 3 for this case. So this one, it will be create the CSV file for all of my kriging parameter for our kriging process in KNA workflow here. So after that, we how to define our estimation is to analyze our result for my estimation. And instead we have a lot of attribute, we will delete also using macro again, so it will be not vague for our block model, because it's a lot of attribute. Maybe you have to 55 parameter or 11 parameter, something like that, just to delete. Yeah, so at the end we just to see our result of the basic statistic of our kriging parameter here. If we take a look for the CSV here, a lot of statistic of our kriging parameter, such as kriging variance, kriging efficiency, and conditional by slope. So we will compare one by one by using graph. There's a lot of way to do the graph, but actually in this case, I will show you. I actually using the Python for the analyze this result of the KNA, because it will be a lot of the data, and it will be a lot of repetitive tasks to do the KNA, to analyze this a lot of CSV file. So here I have the Python code here to just compile and make a graph to my estimation and KNA result. So this is the result, and how to define my KNA process here. So we can take a look for this graph to as the result of our estimation, such as kriging parameter, such as kriging variance, kriging conditional bias slope, and slope of regression here. So here, when we have another differences data, and I already did another parameter here using 10 by 10 meter from 50 to 100, and the result it will be smoother than we have the just 25 by 25 meter here. So how to define this parameter? Just for the conditional bias slope is and another graph is like there's is erratic and there's no for the conditional bias slope, we take a look for the highest value, that starting point on our estimation process. I think here for the kriging efficiency and kriging variance also. So when we do the estimation using the short distance, such as the 50 until 100, there is an erratic point, and after that it will be flat after we do the estimation 100 until 300. So it will be the difference way, because yeah, it will be different when we do the searching radius at the short distance. So to choose the parameter to choose the searching parameter on this case, it for the take a look for the convex bias slope, it will be using 150 here, I think here, because below on 150 it will be erratic and not flat and not continuous, something like that. So yeah, I think for in this case it will be, I will choose the 150 by 3 for the vertical distance. And for the kriging efficiency and kriging variant, it already flat again. So yeah, that one is just case, because for organic kriging here we can take a look a lot of the estimation parameter, such as the block variance, number of negative wake, Lagrange wake, something like that. That one is just in case in just for the 3 parameter, and you can choose another parameter here another parameter for vertical distance, such as 3 or 5 or 7 or something like that. But this is just one of the case in our Q&A process here. So I will choose the 103 or 150 by 3 vertical on this case. So yeah, I think that one is that one that I share about the Q&A process in the macro. So I hope the Q&A process and the dynamic therapy process on this day session 3 of the GeoVia Connect 25, it will be helpful for your project. So yeah, thank you for your attention.